Well, hey everybody. It's not Sunday, but I am finally back on my front porch, which I have missed greatly over the last few weeks, and have a chance to share a little bit on what's been happening, and also ask you guys what's on your mind as we go into the final stretch here, 24 hours away from knowing what the direction of our country is going to be. And, I'm not so sure we'll know tomorrow night, but I do think there's a chance we'll know tomorrow night. I think it could be enough of a blowout that we will know. So, could be wrong about that. I tend to be a little bit more optimistic than most folks. And sometimes that's needed. So I'm feeling great optimism right now. I don't know about the rest of you, but man, these rallies and parades and boat parades and 96 miles in Arizona of Trump flags and vehicles. I mean, if that doesn't encourage you to know that the silent majority is choosing to not be silent, but to actually be vocal, then I don't know what would. And that's kind of what I wanted to start with tonight. I know I hacked off some of you with my Sam Adams quote the other day and my comments about how if you've been silent, that you better hope that the rest of us that have been vocal have done enough to stem the destruction and stop the destruction for your sake. And I get it. I understand. Sometimes there's a lot at stake, and it's hard to come out vocally because you're concerned about backlash in your community or backlash from your customers. So, I understand that, but, we're at a similar time in our nation's history that, frankly, early 1930s Germany was. It's a very similar situation where, hey, thanks, bud. I can get my brain working with some coffee here. Where there's not really the option of staying silent. If you're silent right now, you are asking for a worse situation 5 years from now, 6 years from now, where you're forced into silence. Where now speaking out literally means your life. Literally means, possibly being carted away. That's where we are. We're at that early 1930s part of Germany where the Gestapo-style cancel culture and silencing of anyone with an opposite view is rearing its ugly head, but we have the opportunity to push back and defeat it if we speak up. But silence will not win this. A silent majority will not win this culture war. So the vocal majority being out there the last week or so with these parades, it's just given me hope in a big way. And you guys know I'm optimistic. I'm typically a person speaking hopefully, speaking of hope and speaking with a perspective of regardless of what happens, we have tools at our fingertips to fight back and to win the culture back, even if it means it's going to be a generational fight, which I think it is. I'm typically optimistic, but the onslaught has been so bad, and some of our own people going to the other side this year, and evangelical circles embracing Black Lives Matters, and just all the stuff that's happened this year has caused even me to have some moments of reflection and pause and, really thinking about where to go if things get that bad, all those things that run through your mind. And so I'm so glad the last few weeks to have been so encouraged by the events I've been to, the crowds that we've had, whether at our Frontside Constitutional Defense events or at the churches I've been to and spoken. There's just an enthusiasm I've never experienced in my lifetime. Now, some of you, I was a kid when Reagan was running in 1980 and in 84. Nothing I read about or watch from those days says it was anywhere even a tenth of what we're experiencing right now. So I just haven't in my lifetime seen anything like this. I think James Woods, the actor that is so good on Twitter right now, I think he's got 2.5 million followers. He said last night on Twitter, and I think he's right, he showed some of the pictures of what's happening at these rallies, 50-something thousand in I think it was Butler, Pennsylvania, or somewhere in Pennsylvania. He said we'll never see this again in our lifetime. And I think he's probably right. And I don't even attribute this to Trump. I don't. I just don't think. I don't think it's Donald Trump that is creating this. I think it's the American backbone and the American value system roaring back. I think it's all of us that love America, that love God and country, love our Constitution, and have watched it be attacked and torn and shredded. Not just this year with the craziness, but over the last few decades with our education system and our court system and so many wimpy, mamsy-pamsy politicians. Those of us that have watched that for so long and just been so frustrated. There is a pent-up patriotism that has been waiting to roar back with a vengeance, and Trump is just the vehicle. So I don't think it's so much Donald Trump the man as it is that Donald Trump was smart enough and I think genuinely in his heart loves America enough that he was willing to say no to the baloney, willing to raise the banner, and we rallied. And it's the banner itself at the heart of this. And I'm not dissing Trump at all. I'm so thankful. I'm telling you, I thank God that Donald Trump has been willing to do that, that he's had the backbone. He's had the willingness to take on the tough fights and to say no to all of this stuff. But so without him, I don't think it would have happened. No doubt about that. So don't get me wrong on what I'm saying. But it is the American people. It's the American spirit that is coming back. And Trump just happens to be the guy leading the charge on that and willing to raise that banner, and we're rallying. So it's an exciting, exciting time. Real quick, predictions for tomorrow night. Okay, so people have been asking me what I think is going to happen. Listen, I think it's going to be Trump in a landslide tomorrow night. The question is going to be whether they can steal it back. And the places to watch are going to be Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. I think there's a good chance that they steal Pennsylvania back. I think we're going to win big in Pennsylvania tomorrow night. But I think their fraud machine is entrenched in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and so there's a good chance they're able to pull that off, unfortunately. We probably need to win, from what I'm understanding from the pollsters that actually get this right, we probably need to win Pennsylvania by 4 or 5 points in order to prevent them from stealing it back. So that's a big margin. It's possible. I think it's very possible that he could. I mean, look, we won Ohio by, 7 or 8 points in 2016. I think Ohio is going to be a bigger margin this year. It's not even going to be on everybody's radar, and that's normally the bellwether that everybody's watching is Ohio. I think we're going to win Ohio and Florida both huge. So they're going to be almost a non-issue, which really means, I mean, if we win Ohio and Florida and Arizona, which everybody's saying Arizona is in play, I just don't see it. I don't think that's going to happen. I think tomorrow night we're going to win Arizona by 4, maybe 4.5 points, and I think McSally's going to win there. I think we're going to get good stuff out of there. So that's one everybody's sweating. I could be totally wrong. Again, I tend to be a little bit overly optimistic, but that's my prediction. And that means if all of that happens, we only need 1 out of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. I think we'll win all 3 tomorrow night, and I think we'll win New Hampshire. So that's another 4 electoral votes. So I've actually got us at 324. That's my Electoral College prediction, 324 tomorrow night. And then I think they're gonna be able to claw back Pennsylvania through theft, unfortunately. So that's my prediction for tomorrow night. That's what I think is going to happen. Hang on one second. I gotta grab my phone because I wrote down a few things I wanted to share, and I forgot to set it over here. So here we go. Okay, so a real quick emergency item, and I know I ask you to get involved in a lot of different things. This one is a matter of life or death, and frankly, it's a major issue for the future of the Second Amendment and our ability to actually live out the Second Amendment among these riots and horrible things happening. Kyle Rittenhouse is a hero, in my opinion. This is a kid that went and scrubbed graffiti off the school walls and went and gave medical aid to even those who were rioting. And then when absolutely forced at the final second to defend himself, used his firearm to save his own life. And when you watch the video of what this kid did, it was remarkable. I mean, his ability to have the restraint to not fire at the people that backed off and only fire at the ones that continued to charge him, hitting me over the head with a skateboard, I mean, genuinely physically attacking and saying they were going to kill him. It is a remarkable self-defense moment. And, these Wisconsin prosecutors, need to be fired. They need to be the ones put in prison, in my opinion, because they're going after the righteous and they're ignoring the wicked. They're letting the wicked out and not going after them, and allowed them in Kenosha to riot over and over and over again, and yet press charges against Kyle Rittenhouse, who clearly, when you watch the video, it is self-defense. Anyway, they've extradited this kid to Wisconsin. He was actually across state lines in his hometown in Illinois, and he's got great legal counsel. And Lynn Wood, the guys at Fight Back, are fantastic. They've been through this kind of stuff before, and so the right team is assembled. But the bail has been set at $2 million. Can you believe that? $2 million for a 17-year-old kid who has been a stand-up kid in his community, no flight risk. It's atrocious. So shame on this judge for setting the bail so high and not being willing to lower it. We've got I think at this point they've raised $1.2 million. Fight Back is the website. I just posted it on my Facebook page. I just donated again. I donated before, but donated again just a few minutes ago. And you know, I gave $500 again. I hope you'll consider doing the same thing. If you can give $1,000 or $1,500, or some of you out there could give $10,000. This is a worthy cause. This is a patriot, and we patriots from around the country need to step up. So I'm really hoping our network right here, you know, as you share this Facebook Live tonight, please share this. This is the most important thing I think I'm going to discuss tonight. Please share it. Please donate to help Kyle Rittenhouse. Share this so that others will see it, and let this be one of our biggest Facebook Lives. We've hit 30, 40,000 before with our Facebook Lives. I pray we could do that tonight and get, you know, hey, maybe $100,000 raised just from our network of people, if enough people will give $500 or $250, or if you can give $20, if you can give $5, whatever you can do, please click on that link. You just got to scroll up. I'll try to share it if somebody else has it, they can share it. But it's important. Look, I think this kid's life's in danger if he doesn't get out of that prison. And it's just wrong. It's absolutely wrong that he's there. And so we need to stand with him. And for updates on that, follow Lynn Wood on Twitter. He has fantastic updates there. I am going to go ahead and share it in the chat because I want to make sure we don't miss people, and that everyone that can would click on this link and donate to get him home. And this is, you know, Fight Back Law is a great place to give. They defend all kinds of patriots out there. Lynn Wood he's just one of those patriots that you can feel good about donating to, and knowing that the money's not going to line anybody's pocket. It's going to provide good defense for these guys. So okay, so let's talk about tomorrow, the vote. Listen, you got my predictions on it. Don't let that keep you from going out and voting. Listen, I don't have a crystal ball. All right, my prediction could be way off. Some of my friends that I really respect, like Mark Meckler and others, are predicting a high 270s electoral victory. If that's the case, if it turns out to be that close, then we're in for an ugly. We're in for an ugly time, no matter what. But the litigation will be worse. If we have a big margin, I think we can discourage some of this, and it's going to be a lot harder for them to drag it out. But if these folks are right, and we're looking at a 279 or 278 or whatever, your vote is going to matter all the more. And I don't care if you're in California right now. You may think that California's electoral votes are not up for grabs, and so you don't need to go vote. I get it. It's a super long shot, probably probably as long a shot as the American Revolution of winning, and America winning our war for independence. For California to go for Trump, which means it's not impossible. But even more important than California going for Trump is that California be close, and it shows the Trump wave in California, so that all of our patriots and patriot warriors in California have hope for the next election, so that they can see those numbers and go, you know what, we can win California back. We can actually win the legislature back and get good congressmen representing California again. So we need, no matter where you are, if you're in California, if you're in Oregon, and a lot of friends in Oregon, I challenge you, get the vote out there, make it as close as possible, because that also is going to impact those down ballot races, the congressional races, the state rep races, all the legislative races, the local races. A lot of people actually have their school board candidates on the ballot in November. We did here in Dripping Springs. We don't normally it's in May, but COVID, they put it off. So you got to go vote, and you got to stand in line. And I know some of you are going to have to stand in line for 5 hours tomorrow. It is worth it. as long as you're standing in line, think about all of the patriots that died so you could stand in line, okay? Get on your phone, talk to people around you, whatever you need to do to pass the 5 hours or whatever it takes for you to stand in line and cast your vote. Don't you dare be one of those people that after this election has to look back on the most important, most momentous election of our lifetime and say, man, I didn't even get to participate in that. I didn't cast my vote because I was lazy. I didn't want to stand in line, so I'm the wicked and slothful servant because I wasn't willing. Even if you have to stand in line all day tomorrow, if you didn't early vote, that's your fault. Go vote tomorrow. Make sure your vote counts. And get on the phone. Drag your friends and family. Get them there. Multiply your vote by 3 or 4 or 5. I tell you what, California, I'm sorry to keep coming back to California, but I was just there and I just watched this incredible event they had, non-essential. My friend Jack Hibbs, pastor there at Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, phenomenal patriot. This guy, if there's a Black Robe Regiment pastor alive today, it's him. And Rob McCoy, who was there with him, 2 of the greatest pastors in the country, and they lit it up. I'm telling you, Rob was on fire. And in fact, his last 30 seconds or minute of his speech, they gave him 7 minutes. I think he might have gone a couple of minutes over, but his last few minutes, I'm telling you, I was wanting to stand up and shout when he got done. So good, so good. And Kirk Cameron's part, where he takes that monument that he did the movie on, Monumental, and he goes through every piece of it. He basically gives us the formula. I think he borrowed secret sauce from me because I've shared that with him before. But anyway, the whole secret sauce of a formula and what makes America great, he shared it right there on stage there at Chino Hills. It was just great. Charlie Kirk was fantastic. I listened to Charlie Kirk, and it sounded like I was listening to myself from 15 years ago. I'm telling you, he's saying everything that we've been saying at Patriot Academy for 20 years, and it was just great. David Harris, Sissy Graham, it was awesome. So anyway, watch that. I think Scarlett's with us tonight. Scarlett, if you're on, would you share the link? Because I don't have that one handy, but if you would share the link, I know you can just go to Kirk Cameron's Facebook page and scroll down and click on Non-Essential and watch it live, and it's a great video feed. I mean, it doesn't jump at all. It's fantastic. Anyway, that is a couple of hours well worth your time. If you don't get a chance to watch it tonight before the election tomorrow, then just watch it later this week. I'm telling you, it'll encourage you and really, really give you some wisdom. There's just so much wisdom there. I'm telling you, Rob McCoy, Jack Hibbs, Ken Graves, these Calvary Chapel pastors across the country are, they are standing in the gap. God has raised them up for such a time as this, and I'm thankful. I'm so glad to know them and get to have them on my radio program, but just to see them leading in the way that they are. I don't know how I got off on that. Oh, because I was talking about California. Yeah. I'm so excited for California to be. There's a revival happening in California, so be a part of it and make it happen in your state. Oregon, Washington, Massachusetts, these states that we've written off in the past. There's something happening, folks. There's something happening. Be a part of it. Look, real quick on the choice tomorrow, and share this with your friends and family too, because it could not be more clear. Part of the reason I left some of the pictures in the teaser for the Facebook Live that I did with the face mask and the. If you didn't notice that picture on the top right, that is in Australia, where they were arresting people and forcibly putting a mask on them. Can you just imagine that? Being held down and them force a mask on you like a muzzle. Friends, that's the America that Joe Biden wants you to live in. That's the America that Kamala Harris wants you to live in. That's the America that Gavin Newsom wants you to live in. They want to force this stuff on you, even when the science doesn't back it up. Nobody even talks about the science anymore on masks. They're not even trying to defend their mandates and their orders. All they're focused on now is enforcement on you. They're ignoring the fact that the science is showing the mask might actually be increasing the number of cases out there. Nowhere where they've done these mask orders has it worked. Nowhere. So it's insane. It's insanity. Everybody seems to be compliant. I know a lot of you out there are like me. You walk through a grocery store. Every time I go to the grocery store, right here in my hometown of Dripping Springs, I'm the only one not wearing a mask. It bothers me that I'm the only one in some ways, because I'm just worried that many people are not questioning the science or what's being done. It doesn't bother me to be the only one to stand up for what's right and what's truth, but it bothers me that our numbers are so few that realize how ridiculous this is. And that is not to say, for those of you that are in the high-risk category, I have to say this every time or else somebody sends me an email and says, you don't understand, this is real, I know so-and-so who died. I've said it before, I'll say it again. My dad almost died from this. I know how real it is. I sequestered my own family at the beginning until we knew how to deal with it and knew how to protect from it. We have people with autoimmune issues in our family, elderly people in our family, so I get it. There are times to be safe. There are times to implement those strategies. I'm not sure mask is the best way to go, but if that's what you're convinced will help, then do that. Just don't force other people to do it. Don't mandate this across our society. The negative results of what's happening right now with these COVID crackdowns, we're going to feel it for a decade. It's awful. Anyway, that's the America that Joe Biden wants, though. It's all about fear. It's all about the dark winter. It's all about destroying our nation. What a contrast to Donald Trump and the Republicans and the positive outlook. The restoration of 1776 and our Declaration and our Constitution and the principles of liberty, bringing those things back to the forefront, to see the Black and Hispanic communities and other minority communities embracing this and realizing the American dream is alive and well for them as well. Man, that is just such a beautiful picture right now. What's happening? That's the Republican agenda. I see that agenda going down to the lowest level. Doesn't mean every person on the ballot is going to be great. They're not. A lot of them are going to be slime balls that you just had to vote for because we need that additional number or that additional vote in the legislature. But the point is, the comparison of Republican versus Democrat, the choice right now in the election is huge. It is so different in terms of where our country is going to go. So my prayer and my hope tomorrow is that not only we hold the Senate, but we pick up a couple of extra seats in the U.S. Senate. I'm an outlier on this. I think we can pick up the 17 House seats because I think the tidal wave is going to be so huge that happens. I realize other experts are saying that's impossible, but that's what they said in 1994 too. And I can remember in 1994, I remember the street I was on, right by my house, right, the baseball field I grew up playing baseball on. I'm driving down that road in 1984 when the announcement comes on the radio that the Republicans had taken the House for the first time in so long, and 40 years or whatever it was. And I remember just crying as I'm driving along, man. That was, goodness, what was that, 26 years ago. Well, that can happen again. That can happen tomorrow night. So, be excited, be encouraged, pray for miracles tomorrow night all across the country in that race. But the contrast is huge, absolutely huge. Okay, tomorrow night when the election starts coming in, I encourage you to watch David and Tim Barton. They're going to be doing election coverage on Victory, and you'll get to watch them actually bring in the returns and comment on the different states as they come through. That is, by the way, they were the first ones to call. David Barton was the first one to call it for Trump in 2016 before any major network. The Victory Network actually called it first, and it was David Barton that did that. So if you want to watch and get some accuracy, then watch them tomorrow night. That'll be a fun one to watch. And then let me just talk for a second before I go to your questions about after the election. Friends, this is not, as I said last night, if you had a chance to watch our event out of Houston for Voting Biblical Values, which if you watched that, man, there were some great folks on there. I was so thrilled to be on the program with Dave Welch and Pastor Riggle, just phenomenal guys, and of course Ann Hedinger and Joseph Backholm, somebody that I've respected for a long time. So glad he lives in Texas now. And the Hispanic pastor, I had just met him last night. I didn't know him before that, but man, his message was so good. Oh, if you watch the guy in the cowboy hat, he just lit it up. It was great. Anyway, it's on Texas Values site if you want to watch it. But let me just say this about tomorrow night. As I said last night at that event, this is not the bottom of the ninth. Okay. Tomorrow night is not the end of the game. In fact, I'd say we're more like in the second inning of a long game. And if you want to say it's the bottom of the ninth of game one of the World Series, okay, I can go with that analogy. It means we got 6 more games to fight. This is the beginning of a long haul, folks. This is a generational fight. And so what I'm hoping that you're thinking is after tomorrow night, Trump wins, that is the finger in the dike. That is God's grace on our nation, preventing us from sliding totally off the cliff. And at that point then, we have to start backing away from that cliff and turn around and head the right direction. And that's going to take time. It's going to take an awful lot of education of more Americans. It's going to take some inspiration. It's going to take us being able to get more people into these Constitution classes. You hosting a Constitution class right after the election. Some of you could get in another class between the election and Christmas and the holidays. At the very least, start promoting in your church for a January start to Constitution classes. This needs to be happening in thousands and thousands, I mean tens of thousands of churches across the country. If we're going to save the country long term, we have to reverse the effects of this critical race theory, this anti-American Marxist theology and philosophy that's been poisoning our children for so many decades. It's going to take time to turn that around. And truth can turn it around, but we have to be the ones shouting that truth everywhere we go and speaking that truth. And you got to have some depth to it. That's where our course comes in. That's why you want to use Constitution Live. It's only 6 weeks long. It's 2 hours a week. If you will educate your friends and family, if you'll commit to that 2 hours a week for 6 weeks, you will make a huge difference. And out of your class will come others that will do the same. We're seeing it happen all over the country. We're well over 3,000 Constitution coaches now. We started the year, I think, with a few hundred. Now we're well over 3,000. Our Constitution class that we'll be having again tonight, we have 11,000 people participating in this largest Constitution class in history. In fact, that's going to go live here in about 20 minutes. We've got some pre-videos that are going to play tonight that you can watch. And if you haven't been with us on that massive class, please dial in tonight. It's a great time because we're covering the presidency the night before the election. So that one timed out perfect. We're also going to cover the courts, presidency and the courts tonight. And then next week we'll be talking about the Bill of Rights. So we've got 3 classes left. We're only halfway through. It's not too late for you to sign up and be a part of that. You can sign up at constitutioncoach.com. And I know some folks asked for the links to David and Tim's broadcast tomorrow night as well. So I'm going to try to find that broadcast, and I want to also share, if somebody else has the link to the Constitution Coach link for the class that's going to continue tomorrow night, please dial in. And by the way, you can get the recordings to that class, so you can be a part of that throughout the next 3 weeks, but also go back and watch the first 3 weeks. Okay, I'm going to try to dive into your questions now. I got about 15 minutes left. We're going to be, the other thing I wanted to mention was that we're on we're going to be doing a national, it's really a statewide, but we've got friends all over the country dialing in. We're doing a prayer tonight with David Barton's going to be on, a whole lot of pastors and other leaders from across the country. And it's a great chance for you to be a part of that. So let me see if I can find the link to that. It's at Christians Engaged. Let's see. I'm going to copy the registration page into our Facebook Live right now. So if you want to be a part of that, you're going to want to dial in just 30 minutes, okay? So we're going to go, I'm going to jump off of this live in 15 minutes. I'm going to go, we'll be getting our Constitution class started with the pre-videos. I'm going to jump over to pray as a part of this massive group that is praying around the country. And I put that Zoom registration link in there so you can be a part of that tonight as well. Thank you, Scarlett. You got the link. I was just trying to find that. Well done. And Lauren, thank y'all for sharing that. Okay, if you asked a question early in the evening, if you would repost that, because I am not going to be able to scan through all of these, but I'm going to try. Yeah, Judd's right, man. It's lockdown versus liberty. That's an excellent summation, Judd Wood. Love you, brother. Lockdown versus liberty. That's the choice on the ballot tomorrow. Do you want to have the country continue to be locked down, or you want to live in liberty? Let's see. Tina Newsom lost his case today. I have not seen that. I'm sorry. I've been kind of buried today. So somebody share a little bit more about that. Let's see. Yep, you're right. Holly, masks and lockdowns don't work, and yet Governor Pritzker doubles down. Isn't it insane? It's like, how do you look at these graphs? How do you look at the data and the charts where you see, it's like things are kind of steadily going along, mask mandate, and cases go up like crazy. Why would anybody think, that means we should do more mask mandates? It's just nuts. But it's not about the science, and it's not about health or keeping people safe. At this point, it is entirely about control. And 8 months ago, that would have sounded like some goofy conspiracy theory. It's the truth. This is about government control. They want to see how much they can control you. There is no scientific basis for these lockdowns, for the mask mandates, for all of these controls that they're putting on you. This ridiculousness that we've gotten into because we're totally in fear right now, and we're not approaching this with a balanced approach. We should look at a threat, and it is a real threat, and say, how do we reduce the likelihood that that threat gets to my family, and then make common sense decisions about how to live our lives with knowing that that threat is out there, but neutralizing that threat as best as possible, knowing there's always a 1% chance or 0.1% chance that something's going to happen to us. I mean, my goodness, folks, there's a greater chance you're going to die in a car wreck when you go to the grocery store today, or that you're going to be struck by lightning, or that something crazy is going to happen to you. So let's start living. In fact, I hope you watched that video I did last week with Ronald Reagan and his speech from when the Challenger shuttle blew up, and everybody, you know, I mean, he just had such great words about the future not belonging to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave. We need to remind ourselves of that. We need to get into, I think Dinesh D'Souza's right. Courage is the one thing we need right now more than probably anything else, not just in terms of our politics and who we vote for and standing for, for truth, but just leaving our house, just the courage to live life and not be caught up in this fear the way that we are. Let's see here. I have a few questions about how to watch David and Tim tomorrow night, and somebody's already shared that one. Thank you. Yeah, Scarlett, if you would please send me that link to Newsom's orders being found unconstitutional. Let me know if that's a federal district judge, if that's an appellate court. Oh, that is so hopeful. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, TJ, so what I mean by the second inning remark, I guess I already addressed this a little bit, and your question was right off the bat, so I apologize. But I just think this is a long battle. We are, I mean, Trump winning does not end this fight in any way, shape, or form. And I know y'all know that, but I guess what I'm saying is it's just the beginning of a long fight. We got to win this battle to get to the next battle, right? And on the outside chance that he loses, on the outside chance that if they're able to steal it, that's the only way. I mean, all facts, all data. There's no way you can look at these rallies and the outpouring of support for Trump and the almost no support for Joe Biden and think that he's going to win legitimately. But if they were able to steal it, okay, we still have to remember our duty doesn't change. We stay in the fight. We still do our Constitution classes. We still work to renew. We may have to go through a darker period than what we thought. But folks, let's be honest. We deserve it. I mean, can I just be really blunt before we sign off tonight? We deserve judgment. America deserves judgment. I am praying for mercy. We have been given mercy for years. But you cannot biblically say that a nation that murders 60 million of its own, a nation that rejects godly principles, rejects a biblical definition of marriage, rejects all the things we've done as a culture to go off the rails away from our founding and away from biblical principles, we do not deserve mercy. But then again, none of us deserve mercy, right? None of us deserve grace. And yet God has been willing to pour it out on us. In our individual lives, I look at my family and I think, man, I don't deserve this. In no way, shape, or form do I deserve this family. But in God's mercy, I get to enjoy the benefits of this incredible family and my amazing wife, my kids and my grandkids. Don't deserve it, but thank God for it. In the same way as a nation, we don't deserve to have another decade of blessings or prosperity or freedom. We don't deserve to have, I hate to say this, but we don't deserve to have religious liberty in our country. When our churches have dropped the ball as bad as they have and refused to use the religious liberty that we've had to preach truth and be salt and light so that the culture stays good and so that the culture reflects a biblical worldview and therefore produces liberty and prosperity, the church fell down on the job. We did not do our job for the last 50 years, so we don't deserve religious liberty anymore. But I am praying that we continue to have it and that God's mercy on us will give us another window of opportunity. And then that our churches are now awake from all this COVID crackdown and government controlling them to where now they will say, I'm going to live out my religious liberty. And pastors will use the freedom that they've been given to speak truth and sow that truth into the culture and use salt and light to preserve the culture and to bring out the best in culture. So we don't deserve it, but I'm praying that we get it. Now, if on the off chance that we get what we deserve and we lose this election and we enter into a dark period in America right now, that does not change your duty or my duty. We still fight for freedom. We still teach liberty and truth, and we still work and to turn it around, even if it means it's going to take us longer than it would have if we had won this election. I don't think that's going to happen. I truly believe we're going to win. And I truly believe we're going to see a turning point, and we're going to really see a pivot point in our culture. I said in 2016 that Trump winning gave us a chance at that. He has totally fulfilled the opportunity to have that pivot point, and now we have a chance for the American people to catch up and do the same thing. So that's what I think is going to happen. But if it doesn't, we still do our duty. We still recognize God is sovereign. We still recognize that, even if we have to live through more tyranny in our country, that we're going to fight for liberty and we're going to work to turn that around. And we're going to pay the price ourselves so that our kids and grandkids can have the freedom back that we squandered, if that happens. Now, don't think that's going to happen. I just want to say that just in case it does, so that we have that attitude of back to the second inning versus ninth inning, that this is the second inning in a long ball game. And as soon as this election is over, we got to hit the ground running with Constitution classes in every community, with a restoration of training young people in the right values. We've got to get the right programs put together so that we've got young leaders not just spending a week with us at Patriot Academy at the Capitol, but spending a couple of years with us, getting grounded in leadership and grounded in biblical worldview and able to go out and win their culture and be the tip of the spear. There's so much work to do, folks. So this is just the beginning. This is not the end. Whatever happens tomorrow night, it's the second inning. We're fighting for a ball game that we can win. I hope we hit some home runs, in the bottom of the second, and we go into the third inning with a lead and some momentum. But who knows what's going to happen with regard to that. Okay, yeah, man. So what a shame that Illinois is going back into a lockdown. Hey, Michael, good to see you there, buddy. Do I see boarding up businesses as voter intimidation? No, you know what? I see most businesses are boarding up because, unfortunately, they know that the left they've said, I've seen the videos. If you haven't seen them, you should go look it up. I've watched the videos of federal employees saying that they are going to be part of the insurrection, that they're going to gum up the works, they're going to try to mess up the federal government and prevent Trump from being able to govern again if he wins the election, and they're going to call it a coup even if he actually wins, and then all these leftist BLM and Antifa people talking about they're going to block streets and prevent people from getting in and out of cities, the violence that they're going to encourage, the damage that they're going to do. I'm telling you, they want that to happen. And I will say this to all of you, same thing my friend Mark Meckler said last night, is you need to be thinking about what you're going to do if it goes bad on the violence side. And I'll tell you, my personal recommendation is you don't go into the cities at all. If this stuff starts tomorrow night, you're crazy. If you are tomorrow night late on the streets in a big city, you're nuts. Even not just in Portland and Seattle and those kind of places. I'm talking about Austin, Texas, and Dallas, and places even in Texas. You need to avoid those situations right now and be prepared at home, defend your family at home, have a close-knit circle of friends that you're willing to stand beside and answer the call to, and that they'll answer the call for you. But don't walk in, don't go into these situations the next few weeks where they're wanting to bait you. They're wanting to get conservatives into those situations so that they can create more chaos. Don't let it happen. And I'm sorry to those of you that have offices downtown and businesses in these urban areas. It's not going to be pretty for a while, and it's the reason most people hesitate to open businesses there, and it's going to hurt those communities for decades to come. What a shame! What a shame! Yeah, Biden's all for that great reset. You're exactly right, Ellie. Yeah, Dana's right. In March, I would have thought you were crazy if you told me there'd be retailers marketing Christmas-themed face masks. Dana, I know. Oh, I know. And they want this to go through 2021, maybe even 2022. That's the Fauci model. I sure hope Donald Trump fires Fauci the day after the election. The guy is absolutely nuts. Let's see. Oh, TJ, I like your prediction. So TJ Scott, you're on the record here, buddy. TJ predicts Oregon to be a huge upset. Trump lost by 10 points in 16. And he thinks Oregon's going to vote for Trump. Well, all my friends in Oregon, I hope you think the same thing. I'd love to see your comments down here as well. Randall or some of our other friends out there. Jenny, I would love to see that happen. I mean, can you imagine if Oregon... Now think about it. All of this insanity in Portland, night after night after night after night, it probably has moved tens of thousands easily, hundreds of thousands of votes from the middle, not sure what they believe, to the conservatives on the right. So we'll see. You could absolutely be right, TJ. So Tina. Okay, Tina's telling us right here. A California Superior Court ruled in favor of her and a fellow legislator, James Gallagher, in our lawsuit challenging Gavin Newsom's abuse of power. Tina, that's some of the best news I have heard. Oh, my goodness. Praise the Lord for that victory. Tina, please private message me, would you, with the details of that lawsuit. I was not aware that was even happening today. That sounds like... So if I understand you right, Tina, that is similar to the Wisconsin suit by the legislature there and some of the other states where the legislature has sued the governor saying that they had overstepped their boundaries. If that's the case, oh, man, that is super, super good news. And Lisa Pennington, I see you've shared the case with me, so I hope to read that tonight while our video is playing. Oh, that's so good. Yes, exactly. We got to start at the local level and change our townships and our school boards. Friends, that's where it's at, and that's going to be a big push that we're going to be doing with Patriot Academy next year. School board races, city council, township, county commissioner, we need all of you to run for those offices. We're looking for 10,000 candidates to run for local offices, 10,000 for local school boards, 10,000 for local city council races and commissioner races. You're 100% right. That's where we turn this thing around. You want to stop the Marxism being taught in the schools, you take over the school boards. You want to stop the defunding of police, you take over the city councils, and you bring common sense back. Really good remarks. Man, you guys are right on it tonight. I love it. Let's see. Oh, man, I got to go jump on this other call. Let's see here. What can we... Excellent, Vicky. Get your pastor to do Constitution Live at your church. So good. Juna, thank you for sharing those posts. Oh, Victor, I'm telling you, the polls saying that Texas is close are nuts. There is no way. Trump's going to win Texas by at least 6 or 7 points, maybe 10 points. It's going to be a blowout. It's not even going to be close. Remember why the polls are wrong, okay? They are not factoring in, number one, who they are polling. I mean, there's multiple factors why they're so wrong, but the biggest one is they're not factoring in the I don't want to admit I'm for Trump factor, all right? So a lot of people that get polled are worried about the cancel culture. They're worried about the violence. They're worried if they admit that they're voting for Trump, people are going to know that and come after them. I mean, how sad that our intimidation from the left has created that. But that's where it's at, and that's why, you know, they only got to get it right in 2016. He factored that in 2016. He said that factor is off the charts bigger in 2020 than it was in 2016. But all these regular pollsters are not factoring that in, so they're all going to have mud on their faces. You notice they've tightened it down. They're squeezing it really quick right here at the end so they can save face a little bit and say that they were only off by a point or two. But they've been trying to suppress the vote by looking like there's nothing we can do, Trump's not going to win. That's the reason they've done that and not factored in the scientific things that they knew needed to be factored in to be more accurate. They've tried to suppress the Republican vote, but it hasn't worked, man. We've come out even stronger, and they're going to have egg on their face big time. Oh, I love it. Ron, good to see you on here, buddy. Red wave in Washington, too. Wouldn't that be something? My dream scenario is that Trump wins every state, right? That he could actually win. Even, I think he will win Minnesota. I didn't factor that into my 324. Maybe I did. I can't remember now. But I think he's going to win Minnesota. I think the people in Minnesota are sick of what they saw with the riots earlier. So, yeah, wouldn't that be something? Even in Washington. Okay. So good, so good. Oh, Vicky, I love it. You're going to be running for school board next year in Ruidoso, New Mexico. It's one of our Constitution coaches. Been out to front side. You go, girl. Glad to hear that. Yes, Stacy, been screaming local for a decade. Yeah, you got to get people to focus on their own backyard. It's hard because the only thing they hear about typically is the big national races, but the local races are going to affect you more than even those. Yeah, Monica, terrible Supreme Court decision on giving North Carolina 9 extra days to get the ballots in. That's going to create so much extra confusion. I'm hoping we win by so much there that it won't be an issue, but we'll see. We'll see. That's going to be one of the ones that could be a knockdown drag out for several weeks. A lot of great comments, folks. Thank y'all for being on tonight. I know it was last minute, and I didn't give any much of a warning, 5 minutes that we were going to do it, but I have so missed this front porch. Look at this fire. Oh, it feels so good to be in Texas and need a fire. I know I'm in a T-shirt, but I had to because it was like 70 degrees when I started. but I still wanted to have a fire. But now it's cooled off a lot. The sun's gone down. I missed the front porch. Now, the only problem is I did a front porch live on my actual front porch with no singing. So I didn't have the kids here to sing any songs. So you got stuck with me. How boring. We will restore the front porch live with the kids singing, Lord willing, next Sunday. That following Sunday, we're going to be out doing our constitutional defense course at Front Site. We got a lot of coaches coming. I'm going to do a coach training on November 15th, and then a Constitution class that night. We're expecting hundreds of people to be with us for that, and then we'll have a full handgun defense course the rest of the week, as well as additional Constitution training. So I'll have to do my front porch live on November 15th. It'll have to be from Nevada, not from the front porch. For those of you that missed that, we filled up, so that's not even open. You can't register for that one, even though we wish you could. If you missed that, we did add a new date, December 13th. So if you have not been yet to a constitutional defense course, you need to go. I'm telling you, the violence is going to be bad, but you needed this even if 2020 never happened. But you need to come join us. I'm telling you, it's normal. Only the people that want to wear masks wear masks. We're all in there together, no social distancing. You're on the range. Life is normal. We get to actually be around each other and treat each other as human beings. It's wonderful. But most importantly, you get good Constitution training, good handgun training. December 13th. That's the last one of the year. So if you want to go and get trained, make sure you get online right now at patriotacademy.com and then click on Constitutional Defense. In fact, I'll just add that link here real quick before I sign off because that is the last chance to go this year. We will have dates in the spring, but I'm telling you, friends, you need to get trained now. And I'm kind of hoping the December weather is actually not going to be that bad. We'll see. We've been when it was cold in December. We've been when it was perfect in December. So, I haven't even looked yet to see what it's going to be like. It was perfect when we were there a couple of weeks ago. I think November is going to be really, really nice, but December is probably going to be nice as well. And even if it's not, look, you need to go. I'm telling you, it's a no-brainer. Every person that cares about defending their family and making sure that when the wolf's at the door, you have the ability to answer as a sheepdog. If you care about that for your family, you want to come with us. No matter whether you've grown up being around guns your whole life or you've never touched a gun in your whole life. We have so many people in our groups never touched a gun, never fired a gun in their whole life. And they finish that 4 days confident. I'm telling you, it takes you from 0 to 60 in a very short period of time. But if you shot your whole life, I promise you, the first day you will shoot better than you've shot your whole life. I have police officers that have told me it's the best training they've ever had. So please come join us, be a part of that. And then most importantly, start a Constitution class. ConstitutionCoach.com. Get signed up if you're not already a coach. We will help you. You don't have to know anything about the Constitution or anything about how to host a class. We will teach you and train you in all of that. Be a force multiplier. Make sure you vote tomorrow, but then make sure you're starting a Constitution class within a couple of weeks or at least promoting one to start right after the holidays, even if you're not doing one before the holidays. All right. Hey, guys, join us on that Christians Engaged tonight. We're going to be praying. We got, like I said, David Barton and a lot of others that are going to be joining us to pray and be a part of that. It's going to be really, really cool. Congressman Michael Cloud, Andy Wynn, just a lot of folks will be. Pastor Mike Hayes. My wife and I used to go to church at Mike Hayes' church 25 years ago. So that's pretty cool. He's going to be on there tonight as well. So thanks to Bunny Pounds and Tracy Bradford for putting that together. Allie Stuckey's going to be on with us as well. So it's just a great way to finish the night. I think going into tomorrow with some peace. And that's another thing. If the other side comes out with violence, we will stop their violence. But you need to not be starting any of that, right? And you need to make sure you're not walking into those situations. Proverbs tells us that if you're wise, you sense danger, you see the danger coming, and you take precautions. A fool walks right into it. Don't be the fool. Be wise. Get training. Be a part of the solution. And join us on the prayer call in 10 minutes, and then join us for the Constitution class in 40 minutes. God bless you guys. Have a great night.